You already know these 10 distilleries. The problem isn't that you have bad taste. The problem is that you're buying the wrong bottle from the right brand, and you're doing it for all the wrong reasons. You go into a liquor store and see Lagavulin. You know Lagavulin is legendary, so you buy it. Or you see Pappy Van Winkle at some online auction for $400. You know that's the bottle, so you spend the money. You think you're making an educated decision? You're not. You're making an Instagram decision. The real story isn't about which brands matter. It's about which bottles inside those brands actually matter. The American whiskey market has been invaded by scarcity marketing. A bottle becomes rare. The secondary market explodes. Suddenly, that bottle is status. People who don't drink whiskey start buying it because they saw someone's Instagram post. Prices go insane. Actual drinkers are priced out or ignored. The bottles that bartenders actually reach for, the bottles that industry professionals keep at their house, are rarely the ones that make headlines. They're the reliable ones. The ones consistent for years, because the distillery is obsessed with something other than hype. Today, I'm walking through 10 distilleries that shaped how we think about whiskey. These are the names in every serious collection, every bartender's speed rack, every collector's wish list. But for each one, I'm telling you the bottle that casuals chase versus the bottle that actual insiders drink. Because there's a massive difference, and it's costing you money. We're not ranking anything today. We're fixing your buying decisions. You're probably buying the status symbol version of these brands. When the insider version is sitting 3 feet away at half the price, we're separating the status moves from the drinking moves. Subscribe and stick around. Let's dig into the most impactful bottles from the best distilleries. Let's start with something people don't expect to hear on this list. Wild Turkey 101. This is not a fancy bottle. There's no heritage story about the label. There's no limited allocation. This is just a bottle that works. And that's why bartenders have been building cocktails around it for decades. People see Wild Turkey, and they think they need the rare breed or the Master's Keep release. They chase the allocated bottles. They want the story. But Wild Turkey 101 is already special. It's bottled at 101 proof, which means it brings enough punch to survive a cocktail, but enough smoothness to actually sip. It's been consistent since the 1950s. Jimmy Russell, the master distiller, has been steering the ship since the 1950s. Buy Wild Turkey 101 and drink it. Build cocktails with it. A bottle that costs $30 and has been doing the exact same thing for 70 years is more valuable than a bottle that costs $200 because it was rare that one year. Drinkers buy Wild Turkey 101 because it works. Collectors buy Wild Turkey Master's Keep because the price tag tells them it should work. Johnnie Walker is the world's best-selling scotch. That's not an opinion, that's a fact. The striding man appears on labels in nearly every country on Earth. In most bars, Johnnie Walker Black Label is the blended scotch they reach for when someone orders a good scotch and soda. People think Johnnie Walker Blue Label is the goal. It's the premium version. It's what you buy to impress someone. It costs more, so it must be better. Johnnie Walker Blue Label is an incredible blended scotch, and it's worth the money if you want to experience it. But it's not what bartenders use when quality actually matters. It's what people buy when they want to prove they spent money on quality. The bottle that built Johnnie Walker's reputation in the first place is Black Label 12 Year. It's balanced, it's reliable, you can sip it or mix it, and it does both beautifully. It's what bartenders reach for when they're making a properly executed cocktail. It's what professionals recommend when someone asks for a scotch that won't disappoint. Skip the endless color options. Buy black. Johnnie Walker's reputation was built on the middle child, not the luxury edit. Lagavulin pours the essence of Islay into every glass. It's intense. It's peaty. It smells like a bonfire on the shore, mixed with iodine and brine and things that shouldn't taste good together but absolutely do. The weird thing about Lagavulin is that it's perfect at exactly what it does, which means people either love it immediately or they think they're drinking a mistake. That cemented it as the thinking person's peat bomb. There isn't really a wrong Lagavulin bottle because the distillery is so laser-focused on doing one thing. The mistake is buying Lagavulin 16 thinking it's a stepping stone when actually it's already the masterclass. You don't need a rarer bottling. You don't need a special edition. Sit with the 16 and let it teach you what peat actually means when it's executed by someone who understands wood influence. This is what premium peat tastes like when a distillery has been perfecting the same style for generations. The 16 is the full statement. Everything else is them showing off. Hibiki is Japanese blended whiskey made by Suntory, and it exists to prove that blending is not a shortcut, it's an art form. Hibiki draws from a palette of single malts and grain whiskeys sourced from multiple distilleries. Each component is chosen for its specific character. The bottle itself is cut with 24 facets, honoring the 24 seasons of the traditional Japanese calendar. People see Hibiki Harmony and think it's the entry point. Then they see Hibiki 17-year-old and think that's the real one. Then they start hunting for rare editions. But Hibiki Harmony is the statement. It's the flagship. It's what Suntory is saying when they say, this is what Japanese blending means. It's not a stepping stone. It's the complete thought. Buy Hibiki Harmony and understand what you're tasting. This is a blended whiskey from a country that supposedly doesn't blend. It's harmonious, it's layered, it's balanced. You're not hunting for the oldest version or the rarest edition. You're experiencing what Japanese distillers believe harmony in whiskey tastes like. That's already the full idea. Everything beyond harmony is just them exploring variations on the same theme. Buffalo Trace is the rare distillery that built both ends of the bourbon world simultaneously. They make the most coveted bottles in American whiskey: Pappy Van Winkle, George T. Stagg, Blanton's, Eagle Rare, E.H. Taylor. They're all made here. They're all allocated. They all have waiting lists. But they also make plain Buffalo Trace bourbon, usually found for about $25, and bartenders absolutely prize it. You see the Buffalo Trace brand name and you think you need to hunt for the allocated releases. Pappy Van Winkle is the holy grail. Stagg is the insider's secret. You're either camping out for releases or you're paying secondary market prices that are completely insane. Pappy Van Winkle is produced in limited quantities, roughly 7,000 to 8,000 bottles per year. George T. Stagg is even more limited, just over 1,000. That creates a secondary market where prices go through the roof. The secondary market creates status. The status creates scarcity psychology. The scarcity psychology keeps people hunting and buying and never actually drinking. Buy Buffalo Trace Standard Bourbon or Eagle Rare 10-year instead. This is what bartenders actually reach for when they want reliable bourbon that delivers character without the auction house premium. Both of these bottles are made by the same distillery that makes Pappy. The difference is that you can actually buy them at a liquor store. A distillery great enough to make Pappy is great enough that their standard release is already excellent. You don't need to chase the allocated bottle to experience quality. Bruichladdich sits on Islay and has thrown open the books. Every bottle comes with complete transparency. Which farm grew the barley, which barrels held the spirit, which farmers worked the grain. That level of disclosure is unheard of in Scotch. Octomore is their statement whiskey. It holds the record for the world's smokiest whiskey measured by phenol levels. It's a stunt bottle. People buy it because it's extreme. They want to say they've tasted the smokiest whiskey ever made. But Octomore is not a bottle to sip. It's a bottle to experience and then move on. It's built to prove a point, not to be a house dram. Buy classic Laddie or Islay barley instead. This is where Bruichladdich says, here's what Islay whiskey tastes like when we're not trying to break records. Classic Laddie is unpeated, a rarity from Islay. It's floral and delicate. Islay barley is peated, but appropriately. It's what you drink when you want to understand what transparency and good farming actually means for flavor. Bruichladdich real story is not that they can make the smokiest whiskey, it's that they can trace every component of their process and prove that where barley grows and how it's farmed directly influences what you taste. Octomore teaches you that they can break a record. Classic Laddie and Islay barley teach you how to think about Scotch differently. Springbank sits in Campbelltown, which is windswept and small and has maintained a reputation that borders on legendary among people who actually care about whiskey. Unlike almost every other distillery in Scotland, Springbank controls every step of its process. They malt their own barley on traditional floors. They distill, they age, they bottle, all on site. This is not just rare, this is unique. Family owned by the Mitchells for generations, Springbank has turned down offers from global drinks giants. They chose tradition over expansion. That choice means output stays stubbornly small. Bottles are hard to find. Don't treat Springbank like something you're going to build a vertical of. If you see any core range Springbank bottle at sane pricing, you buy it immediately and you drink it. Don't wait for the perfect one. Don't hold out for a special release. If you see Springbank 12 or Springbank 15 at a reasonable price, you have maybe 30 seconds to decide before someone else buys it. The answer is yes. Springbank tastes like it was made by someone who doesn't need your approval. It's a badge of authenticity in the whiskey community. It's proof that you appreciate whiskey made the hard way, without compromise. But that badge only means something if you've actually tasted it. Buy it when you can, drink it, understand it. Redbreast sits at the heart of Irish whiskey tradition. It defines what it means to be single pot still, a style protected by Irish law. Pot still whiskey uses both malted and unmalted barley in the mash. That combination brings a creamy, almost oily mouthfeel that distinguishes it from lighter Irish blends. Triple distillation is the Irish standard, which usually smooths the spirit. Redbreast keeps its weight and depth anyway. The result is full-bodied yet polished. People think Irish whiskey is only for quick shots or easy cocktails. They've never actually sat with a quality Irish whiskey and thought about what it tastes like. They see Redbreast and buy it because they heard it was good. Then they don't know what to do with it because they expected something lighter. Buy Redbreast and actually spend time with it. Pour it neat, don't rush. The flavor profile is rich and complex. Drinkers describe it as Christmas cake in a glass. Dried fruit, baking spices, cherry-soaked richness that lingers. That's not an exaggeration. That's a precise description of what pot still whiskey accomplishes when it's made correctly. The sherry cask influence adds layers of spice and sweetness. It ties everything together. This is a whiskey that rewards patience and curiosity. This is not a whiskey you buy to impress someone. You buy it because you want to understand what Irish whiskey can be when it's treated as seriously as Scotch. Most Irish whiskey drinkers have never actually tasted good Irish whiskey. They've tasted Jameson and Bushmills. Redbreast teaches you that there's a completely different category of Irish whiskey that exists if you're willing to spend slightly more money and actually sit with it. Yamazaki is Japan's first whiskey distillery, founded in 1923 on the misty outskirts of Kyoto. For decades, it was a Japanese story. Global fame arrived only in the last 15 years when Yamazaki single malt started outscoring Scottish whiskies at blind tastings. That broke something in the Scotch establishment. It meant geography wasn't destiny anymore. The secret lies in Mizunara oak, an indigenous Japanese wood that's notoriously difficult to work with, but imparts notes that nothing else can match. Yamazaki. 12-year-old was once a staple on shelves. Bottles that sold for $80 now fetch $300 on the secondary market. The scarcity is real. Production never caught up with global demand. For many people, spotting a Yamazaki 12 at retail price feels like winning the lottery. But you start believing Yamazaki 12 is the only bottle worth owning from the distillery. You think if you can just score one at close to retail, you've accomplished something. You haven't. You've participated in hype. Stop chasing the one bottle everyone is hunting and start exploring the category. Hibiki is made by Suntory, which owns Yamazaki. Nikka makes From the Barrel, which is a different approach to Japanese whiskey. There are age statement bottles from Yamazaki that aren't the 12. There are non-age statement bottles that still feature Mizunara. Yamazaki 12 was already impressive when it was accessible. It didn't become better when it became rare. It just became harder to find. If you want to understand what Japanese whiskey means, taste whatever Yamazaki expression you can actually find at a reasonable price. Don't mortgage your decision-making for one specific bottle. Michter's has been crowned the world's most admired whiskey by Drinks International for 3 years straight, from 2023 to 2025. That's not a trend, that's a statement. The reason is obsession. At Michter's, every barrel is filled at 103 proof, far lower than the industry standard of 125 proof. That lower proof means richer flavors, but it also means more aging time and less yield from every cask. They're choosing quality and scarcity by design. Even the water is custom filtered and chemically tailored for each style. Rye and bourbon start with different profiles before aging begins. These obsessive details add cost at every step. They're why bartenders, collectors, and critics agree Michter's is the gold standard for American whiskey today. People see Michter's single-barrel bottlings and think that's the real one. The limited release, the special pick, they hunt for it. They think the standard US 1 line is entry-level. But understand that Michter's US 1 Bourbon, US Star 1 Rye, and their other standard releases are the statement. They were crowned most admired whiskey 3 years straight because they're obsessively consistent. The single-barrel releases are explorations. The standard line is the mission statement. Michter's doesn't need scarcity to prove they're excellent. They don't need allocation to drive demand. They prove themselves through measurable quality, through details that cost more money, through consistency that no competitor matches. If you want to understand why some bourbon distilleries are building empires while others are fading, taste Michter's, not the rare one, the regular one. Understand what happens when a distillery decides that every bottle matters and backs that decision with actual process changes that cost money. This is the bottle that teaches you the difference between premium and hype. Premium is Michter's. Hype is everything else. Across all 10 of these distilleries, one truth stands out completely. Whiskey greatness is not built on scarcity. It's built on obsession, whether it's relentless innovation, uncompromising tradition, or radical transparency. The world's best bottles are not accidents. They're the result of people pushing boundaries because they can't help themselves. Because the alternative, making something mediocre, is unthinkable. That spirit of pursuit is what keeps whiskey evolving. It's what makes certain bottles worth seeking. And it's what separates the brands and bottles that matter from the ones that are just expensive. Here are the rules. Memorize them. Use them the next time you're in a liquor store trying to figure out what to buy. Rule 1. Don't buy the allocated bottle. Buy the bottle that bartenders reach for when they're making a drink they care about. That's your signal. The allocated bottle is for collectors. The bartender bottle is for drinkers. And this channel is for drinkers. Rule 2. Don't hunt the rare edition if the standard version exists. Springbank at retail is better than Springbank on the secondary market at 3 times the price. Buffalo Trace at $25 is better than Pappy at $400 if you're actually going to drink it. If the standard version is available, the question is answered. Rule 3. Buy bottles you're actually going to taste. A bottle you never open doesn't teach you anything. It just sits on your shelf, reminding you of money you spent on status. The best whiskey in the world tastes like nothing in your closed cabinet. Open it, taste it, understand it. That's how you become someone who actually knows whiskey instead of someone who just has expensive bottles. These 10 distilleries shaped how we think about whiskey because they understood that excellence demands obsession. Now it's your turn. Stop buying status. Start buying bottles that matter. Start buying bottles that you're actually going to drink. Drop a like if this changed how you think about your next whiskey purchase. Drop a comment with the bottle you regret buying or the bottle you wish you'd known about earlier. Subscribe if you want to keep learning how to make better choices about the spirits you buy. Thanks for drinking seriously.